possible. So that means there will be some breakout sessions where you'll be talking about the marketing needs of a dummy company that we've come up with. Please feel free to apply all of those points to your own business. As you will be talking to other delegates, there will be the chance of networking as well. So we hope you get to meet some new contacts. We will try as much as possible not to say the C word today. And we will also have our chat function on. So please, we'd love to hear from you. So any questions or any thoughts, please do add those to the chat function. And if there are any pertinent questions, we will look to cover that within the presentation. So who are we? Who are all these floating heads? Well, we are the SMART group. Smart Marketing is part of that group. We're a network of advisors and marketing consultants that are based in Kent and Essex. My name's Alistair. I've got a background in sales and I've been involved in the chamber movement since 1999 as an employee, subcontractor, and more recently as a member. I've got a real passion for helping small and medium-sized enterprises. My colleague Catherine, or my Catherine, as I prefer to call her, was a marketing director at Eurotunnel. So she's got lots of experience of putting strategic thought into marketing plans. And really what we look to do is translate some of those corporate methods into universal ones that a business of any size can take advantage of. From our sister company, Smart Support, we've got Chris.
Morning.
Would like to give us a nonchalant good morning.
Morning. Oh, sorry.
So Chris has helped his clients, his stable of clients, through the tumultuous last few months. And he will be one of our facilitators today for the breakout rooms. Now, at some point, we will also be joined by Philip from Smart Marketing. He has worked very closely with the Kent Medway Growth Hub, first of all working on the help desk, helping businesses who had particular issues with recent events, and then with helping them with tailored advice sessions as well. Between Philip and Chris, there's over 25 years business experience of working with SMEs, and in their time they've worked with over 200 businesses. So we're very pleased to have them on board today as facilitators. Now, would you agree with that statement that we are all marketing managers now? When I started off in trade publishing 25 years ago, it seemed that all you needed to do back then was book 9 quarter-page ads, issue 6 press releases a year, and book and attend 1 trade show. Marketing was ticked off your list. But those days seem to have gone. Marketing now seems to be fully immersive, and the platforms and angles of approaches seem to be changing all the time. Changes so quickly. So how can we keep up? How can we keep that focus? Well, as mentioned, there will be a lot of information coming your way today, but what we will look to do is keep in mind these clear aims. So in essence, what we want to do for you today is to help you to identify what makes you good, and then to work out who needs to know that you're good, and then help those prospects to find you, and then look at what messages you can use to hook those ones so that you can begin a dialogue that we hope will end up with a sale. Now let's think of the outcome from good marketing, what that could mean from you, or mean for you and your business as well. What would a sustainable business look like? What would less stress look like for you? And how much would your business life change if marketing became like a thermostat that you could turn up and down? Well, what's stopping you getting to that point? What are the challenges? Now, this is our first bit of interactivity. So if you'd like to add any of these to the chat room, we'd love to hear those. What is stopping you from generating more leads? and what's stopping you from turning those leads into opportunities, and then those sales opportunities into actual sales. So if you want to add those, we will try and address as many as we can through the course of this presentation. Now, in the best possible tradition, we've actually pulled together some of the challenges that some people have shouted to us from our seminar rooms over the past 6 years. Do any of those chime in with yourself? Do you recognise any of those particular challenges?
People are putting up the gatekeeper, Alistair. You know how you get Jenny Litchfield is mentioning the overactive receptionist preventing her from getting through to the decision maker. We've all had experience of that. Absolutely.
Lovely Brenda, who's stopping you from talking to the person you ideally really want to talk to, that person who you feel would really benefit from your service. Well, that is something we can definitely look at and talk about through the course of the presentation. We can come up with some ideas for that. Please be assured that whatever you do come up against, there is a structured approach to overcome it. And you notice that there's a P word in that last bullet there, and more about that in a little while. So let's see if this formula that you're about to see on the next slide could change your life. Here's the formula. D times V plus Fs is greater than R. Now, you may recognize that particular equation. It comes from the book 1 Minute Sales Manager, which was written by Ken Blanchard, who also wrote the 1 Minute Manager as well. Let's just briefly run through that formula. Firstly, the R. Now, that's the resistance to being sold to. I think we all live in an information age, and no one really likes being sold to anymore. Would you agree with that? So how can we get round that particular issue? Well, to overcome resistance, we need to really concentrate on the left side of that equation. The D, that's the dissatisfaction or need. We need to find out what would make your prospect's life easier. Do they want something cheaper? Do they want it quicker, or do they want it better? And then the V, that's the vision. What would their world look like if something was cheaper, quicker, or better? And then FS. Now, you may have your own views of what FS stands for, but in this situation, it is first steps. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So it's how you can change your, or how you can help your prospect to visualize that solution and what they need to do first, what their first steps would be. Now, remember, in this situation, you're the expert. You would be taking them by the hand and they would be trusting you. Now, when you do get dissatisfaction times vision plus those first steps, and all of that comes to a greater mass than resistance, then you'll be successful. You'll be able to make those sales. So let's have a little bit look in more detail at marketing. What is marketing? Now, we've put together some definitions. One of those is from the Chartered Institute, and you may notice that there is a commonality between all of those three definitions. There's one P word that appears in every definition there: process. Marketing is a process, and business is all about processes. Marketing isn't something that you do when you've got a spare half an hour. It's the same as any other business function. So if we think accounts, you send out invoices, you chase invoices, and then you ensure that your ledger is up to date. What you don't tend to do is to send out invoices when you've totally run out of all money in the bank. And in the same way, some people tend to only look at marketing when the phone stops ringing. So if you can think about marketing as a process like any other in your business, then it really does help. But how do we put that process together, and how do we take the think out of your marketing? Catherine, it's over to you.
So I concur with what Alistair says. I think that even on the chat, somebody's mentioned it, that most business owners tend to be wearing too many hats. They have to be head of production, head of personnel, head of marketing, head of finance, and actually setting a process in place and being consistent is what it's all about. So we can explore marketing, and we have a 10-step process that we use to outline how to pull together a marketing plan. And I'll just run you through those steps to building a plan. And it starts with defining what you want to achieve. And we're going to go into detail on all of these. Then clarifying what you offer, how you compare to your competitors and what's different about you, targeting exactly who you want to sell to. There's no point talking to people that aren't interested. Exploring what's interesting to them and how you can meet their needs is really important. Step 5. And then moving on, step 6 is confirming what your pricing strategy is, which is really important. Are you an oldie or are you a Waitrose? Where do you sit in the marketplace? Then specifying your SMART goals, and we'll go into a bit more detail about what SMART means. The clues in the title, we are Smart Marketing and Smart Support. We hang our hat on this definition, and we'll explain how that works in terms of your marketing goals. Then defining what your marketing strategies are that you're going to adopt to achieve steps 1 to 7. Finally, measuring the success, what you're doing. Marketing has a dreadful reputation of being all fluff and pictures, and actually we're really of the belief that you should be able to measure your marketing and establish what return on investment you're actually getting, because otherwise what's the point? And then making sure that your investment in your marketing is right. What are you going to spend to deliver the activities that you want? So those are the 10 steps we're going to run through, and we're going to use a dummy business to help do that, because it would be really great if we could write a marketing plan for all of your individual businesses today, but we'd probably be here until next week and we'd all have Zoom fatigue, and nobody needs that. So we're going to look at a sample business that we can chat about without anybody having any personal issues, and a business that probably we're all really familiar with because we've all used a plumber in our time. So this is our business that we're going to write the plan for today, and then you can use all of these steps for your own business afterwards. So our plumber has a shop. It employs 4 people. It has a turnover in the shop of 150,000, and then it has a direct commercial business which turns over 100,000. Has 1,000 customers which generate the shop sales, and 20 businesses that do the commercial sales. Our shop is local, and the commercial side of the business covers the entire county. We'll say we're in Kent because that's where we are, why not? And we do boilers, central heatings, all of the usual showers, taps and so forth, but we don't do emergency call out. So let's build them a marketing plan. So step 1, what are we going to do? So the first step is, as we said, is to define what they want to achieve. So this is coming up with measurable objectives for the business. How many sales do you want to achieve within a certain time frame? Or how much revenue do you want to generate over a particular time? People often set goals as, oh, I want more sales. And if you've got nothing solid in terms of numbers or a time frame, then you've got nothing to measure against, and then you'll always be disappointed. So you need to set up your goals first. They can't be wishy-washy statements. So the next step is to clarify what your offering is and how it compares to your competition. Obviously, as a plumber, there are gazillions of plumbers, so why should we pick you over and above your competition? You need to define your product in terms of what it does, but how the customer might benefit from it. So if you take the example of, say, a landscape gardener, they don't just move soil around and plant. They create a relaxing environment to be in. Think about you're thinking about it from the customer's perspective here. If you think about a tour operator, they don't just sell flights and hotel rooms, they sell family time and they create memories. That's what the customer receives if they buy a holiday. So thinking about what a plumber might do, has anybody got any ideas in terms of what they might offer to you and how that might make you feel? I think I would say nothing coming up in the chat. Please put stuff in the chat. I do like being heckled. I think I would say they offer peace of mind, don't they? If you think about your boiler going down at midnight on a Sunday night, if you've got a lovely contract with a plumbing service, you know that they're going to come and sort you out. And I think that's what a good plumbing service offers. It's peace of mind, that relief that you don't have to think about it. You don't have to get your neighbour round with their spanner. You know that you're going to be looked after. There we go. Someone said being reassured. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, reassurance.
So the next step, after we've established what we're offering and how it's going to make our customers feel, is thinking about our ideal clients and who they might be. If you could describe your top 5 clients, not just in terms of their name, but their demographics as well. The more detailed you can get into, the better it will be, because then you can think about how you might talk to those customers. And remember, there are 2 distinctive parts to this business. So Molly, I think, sent round a crib sheet for this bit of our presentation that we can fill out, where we can look at customer profiles and think about how we might define who your customers might be. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go out into some little breakout rooms and chat through the workout sheet, which hopefully you'll have printed off, about customer profiles. And you can also talk about the other elements that we've just been discussing, if that helps in terms of plumbing business. So we've got 5 minutes in a breakout room. Is that all right, Molly? Send that out to people if anybody's interested afterwards. So I hope you found that a useful exercise, thinking about your customer profiles. And as I said, if you can actually define that, then it's much easier to think about how you might talk to them, because we discussed what their media consumption habits were. And in my breakout room, we talked about, say you wanted to attract 35 female young mums, then they are traditionally Facebook consumers. So that might be a good place to talk to them. Whereas perhaps age over 55, male, corporate, they might be more Times or Guardian, depending on their political versions, readers, and that might be where you would want to contact them. So that's what we're trying to achieve. So we talked about who our ideal clients are. The next step is finding out what's important to them when they buy what you're selling. So how do you define that? I've got the chat right in the middle of my presentation for some reason. I'm just going to minimize that down a bit. Okay, so what's important to your clients when they buy what you're selling? Given that we've identified what our customers are, what's important to them? If they can choose from a colour range, then you need to say that. If they want to know that you can deliver within 24 hours, or if there's a particular quality or time frame that is important to them, then that's what we talk about. And I think one of the elements we discussed was that a plumbing business would provide peace of mind and a comfort factor of knowing that even if your boiler goes down at 5 AM on a Sunday night, you know that they'll come out and they'll fix it for you. So you have to talk in terms of what makes you stand out and how you make them feel. So we've got another worksheet that we sent out on customer needs, and that's what we're trying to establish here, what our needs of our customers are. So we're going to have another 2-minute breakout room, and well, not hopefully, maybe hopefully, you won't be with the same people this time, so you'll get to meet some other people in your little breakout room, and we can talk about what our customer needs are. And let's remember there are 2 elements to this business. So we look to establish what customer needs are for the business side of things and also for our direct customers. So Molly, if we can shunt into some rooms for 2 minutes, that'd be great. We didn't get very long there. Or perhaps we were just chatting too much. Did anybody have any interesting feedback in their groups? Or should we wait for everyone to rejoin? Oh, hey-oh.
Someone's let me take over their computer.
We're just getting the presentation back up. I think Alistair's doing that.
An insight into my mind there.
Onto your desktop.
A frightening prospect.
Did anybody have anything interesting they wanted to share in terms of customer needs? We had some quite interesting chat in our breakout room.
We were talking in our breakout room, Catherine, about it being having great reviews, great word of mouth, reputation management. And I was just about to ask what that meant in terms of the service you provided when we got snatched out of the room.
Go on then, what's your opinion, Phil? Tell us.
Oh, I think great reviews, word of mouth. I think people are more discerning. I think they're much more interested, and they're able to do with the internet today so much more research.
Truly.
So I think managing your reputation is absolutely essential. But how do you get a great reputation?
Word of mouth, always word of mouth.
Yes.
When you said you were going to do, I know for me, for a plumber, getting him to come to me within 6 hours is really important, not 6 days. So we were going to get into that discussion, but we didn't quite have time.
Yeah, I think that's quite a useful exercise, and you can use that sheet for your own business and think about what your customers might define as their needs. If it is like a timely service delivery, for instance, with the plumbing business, as Philip said, my mother is 86 and she's got COPD, so she's one of these vulnerable sector, and actually having someone being able to sort out her heating very, very quickly is a top priority. Whereas a commercial business, maybe timing is as essential if they want to keep their business going. So some interesting things to think about there. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to add?
I think you need people to recommend you. You need to have the confidence of that client to pass on your name to other people, because all this is absolutely free marketing, but it's invaluable.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Barbara. Good point. Yeah, word of mouth is essential. And that's how you get your referrals and new business. Lots of businesses work on that basis.
Exactly.
So the next step, which we've got up in front of us, is how do we explain how we meet what's important to them in a way that makes you stand out? And this is how you might differentiate your business versus the competition. So this is about establishing what your unique selling point is, what makes you different. So for example, with a plumbing business, obviously there are gazillions of plumbing businesses. Why would we pick you over and above Joe Smith Plumbing down the road? What makes you different? It doesn't have to be a complicated thing, a unique selling point. It might be that you're more local. So would I want a national corporate organisation, or would I rather have Joe Smith, who lives around the corner from me, that I know can be with me within 6 hours of my problem revealing itself? Or it might be that you are a 24-hour service and can have a contract that will deliver on that basis. Whatever it is, you need to highlight what makes you unique, and it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. There are very few products or services that are totally unique, but nerdling out what your factor is, a family-run business, that you have 98% satisfaction statistics, could be a unique selling point. Does anybody have anything they can add to that, or any ideas that they might want to share? Okay.
I think it was interesting from the couple of breakout rooms we've had that if we were particularly looking at female prospects, that it would be great to have a USP around trust, whether there was a chance to check out the plumber before they came into the house, as you would an Uber driver, or whether it's that your plumbing business tends to employ female plumbers, to just get around that and then use
that'd be
that
really
as a
interesting.
USP.
If you had 3 female plumbers, I reckon that would be a definite unique selling point. There aren't too many of those, definitely. Okay, cool. So we've got our unique selling point. We know how we're going to stand out. What's the next step? It is to think about what our pricing strategy is. And this is a really important element of your marketing mix, establishing where you stand in the marketplace. And we remember we need to think about the commercial side of the business and the direct side of the business, because those will be 2 very different pricing propositions. Very often, clients don't think about their time as well as part of the pricing process, and don't underestimate your time as part of the mix. So you need to decide, are you going to be, I said it earlier, an oldie or a Waitrose in this pricing concept? As a commercial business, are you looking to charge a high price because you do tip-top, I don't know, special bespoke German boilers, or are we talking about bargain basement servicing? Does anybody have any ideas on how you should think about what your pricing strategy is and how it might work? All quiet on the Western Front.
Well,
Bit of tumbleweed.
just on that, obviously your price, you have to be able to cover your costs and run your business. So that's also a critical point. And there's also what is the market prepared to pay? You've got to look at your competition and not price yourself out the market.
Absolutely.
I think those are two points.
Great. Okay, so establish what your pricing is, and then moving on from there, the next step on our 10-step process is actually specifying your marketing goals. And this is where the word SMART comes into play, which is something that we really believe in terms of goal setting. So if you're going to set a goal, it shouldn't just be, I want more sales. It needs to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And it's really important that any goals that you set for your business answer all of those criteria. So for example, we would say, I want to generate X number of leads every week or month. That would be a really good SMART goal to set. How many, what your sales figures need to be month by month or over a 3 or 6 month period. That would be a really SMART goal to establish. But you need to, realistic is a really important one. Don't set yourself goals that you absolutely aren't going to be able to achieve, because then you're just setting yourself up to fail and be disappointed and let down. So, you know, if generating 5 leads a month is a realistic target, make that your target. But have it set over a time frame as well. Don't say, you know, I just want 20 new customers. By when? You know, you need to actually set a time frame to make that work. Does anybody have any feedback they want to share on that? No? Cool. So the next step is the interesting one, because this is where, to meet your goals, what strategies are you actually going to plan to adopt? And we quite often find with our clients, this is where they start with their marketing activity. So that they put an advert in Kent Messenger, say, because they rang them up, offered them a great price on a distress bidder space, either in the newspaper or even online, and it gave them a great price for an advert. And so they put an advert in, and then they think, I've done my marketing for this quarter or for the second half of the year, and then they wonder why the phone doesn't ring. Whereas actually, if you haven't done steps 1 to 8, how do you know that, for instance, your customers are actually consuming Kent Messenger? They're actually reading your advert. If you're not talking to your customer in the right environment, then you're not going to attract sales and get conversions. So it's really important to establish what activities will actually work to attract the customers that you have profiled, established what their needs are, and really thought about what their messaging and what motivates them to buy your service or product. So not all marketing costs a bomb. I think there's a misconception that marketing is expensive and difficult to set up and unmeasurable. There are some really key strategies that you can do probably yourself, or certainly on a low-ish expenditure. And I just wanted to cover off 2 or 3 that you might want to think about dedicating a bit of time and effort to. The first one is obviously your website. Now, you know, the digital era has taken us all by storm, but with, we said we wouldn't use the C word, but since we're all working from home a lot more, people are consuming information on the internet more than anything. If you think about anything you're planning to buy, what do? You Google it, don't you? You look up on the internet, where can I get X, Y, and Z? And if your website isn't giving up-to-date information and has relevant content about how you're handling things, then you're missing a trick, because if someone comes to your website, doesn't find what they want, then they're going to go somewhere else and look at somebody else's information. One of the really important things is, at the moment, sadly, is having your COVID strategy on there. Are you looking after people, your staff? If you have a shop, for instance, do you have a way of managing people coming in? Are they wearing masks? If you're going to people's doors, how are you managing all of that? Putting that information gives people peace of mind that you're thinking through things and that you've got it all covered off. Making sure that you've got decent SEO so that your ranking is is up on the first page of Google is really important as well, because I know myself, I don't look beyond to page 2, maybe 3 of Google. So if you're not featuring in the top couple of pages of Google, you might want to think about investing in some search engine optimization or pay-per-click activity. So that's your website. Make sure your content's up to date and that it's easy to navigate around your website and find them. The next one that you could think about that actually doesn't cost a great deal but can actually really reap rewards is your social media. Statistics are supporting the fact that people are spending loads more time on social platforms than ever before. So if you don't have up-to-date and relevant content on there, then you're really going to be missing a trick. This is where you can tell a bit more of your story, offer free advice to your customers that will really make them make a difference. So don't neglect this useful communication tool. If I was looking you up, I don't want to see a post from March 2019 as the last time that you put something on there. If you've got a page, make sure you've got relevant and up-to-date content. Networking is another one where there's very little cost, and we're all doing it online now like this, aren't we? Meeting people in virtual meeting rooms. So make sure you don't miss opportunities of setting up one-to-ones with people that A, might help you with your business, or B, be an actual customer. So it's really important that you do the follow-up from any networking activity that you do. Then the old-fashioned email marketing. It sounds hackneyed, but it's one of the highest achieving methods of getting to your customers and delivering sales. Make sure you use it. If you've got a database, even of only 10 customers, make sure you're communicating with them and sending them a monthly newsletter or updates on your products or services, or what you're doing currently to make sure that they know that you're out there and working. People aren't psychic. They don't know that you haven't shut your doors and you're not working because you're not in the office. If you can still offer a digital online service, make sure you tell people. It's really important that you send messages out. They do say that it takes up to 3 to 6 times for a message to sink in. You may think that you're bothering your customers by sending out a monthly newsletter, but you're really not. Think about how many times Amazon gets in touch with you, and it can be a bit of a bother sometimes, can't it? But it's about being front of mind. You know, when so-and-so's birthday comes along and you've had a message from Amazon, you think to yourself, oh, well, I will go and buy that birthday present. So again, for you, putting your message in front of your customers might be the right time, the right place. You've got to keep tapping away, and until they disengage and unsubscribe from your emails, you're not bothering them, you're just keeping them informed. Does anybody else want to? Those are some activities that you can probably do with a bit of your time, effort and energy that actually don't have a huge budget implication. Does anybody else have any thoughts on marketing strategies that they might want to employ? Just got to make sure that they achieve the goals that we set out earlier. Okay. So moving on from the strategy, which we put together, and writing out a list, how are you going to measure the success or failure of your activity? This is a really important element of your marketing activity, because like we've set out some SMART goals that will achieve a certain number of leads or sales over a time frame. How are we actually going to measure it? There are some really good tools that you can employ to measure the success of any marketing strategy that you employ, and I'll outline a couple of them just to make you aware of them. Google Analytics is a really useful tool to have in conjunction with your website, and if you haven't set this up for your website, go away after today as a bit of homework and set Google Analytics up, because what it will do is it will tell you how many visitors come to your website over a time frame that you can specify. It will tell you how they came to you. So did they come via a social media post? Did they come via an email that you sent out? Was it a referral from another website? You might have a strategic alliance with a partner and they came to your website via, say, the Chamber of Commerce, if you're a member and you're listed there. And you can use this as a month-on-month tool to report exactly how the traffic to your website is growing and where it's coming from, so that you can measure the success. If you put up a great social media post and you suddenly see an uplift in visits to your website, then you know that works and you can do more of the same. If you've got an email system and you haven't set up a customer relationship management system, then that's something to consider as well. There are lots of CRM systems that are actually free to start with. Things like MailChimp will let you have a certain number of records for free, several thousand. And then what you can do is you can send out your email from those platforms, and it will tell you who opened your email, who clicked on a link. If anybody rejected the email and unsubscribed, you'll get a list as well. And that really gives you then your follow-up sheet that you can use to get back in touch with people. So if, I don't know, 10 people opened your email, that's your call list, those 10 people, and you can ring them up and say, oh, I see you got my email. Was there more information that I could give you to help you make a decision about whether you're interested in products and services? And then the other one, which is really simple to do, is call tracking. And when someone phones you up, it's really simple to just have a tally sheet beside you and ask them, how did they hear about you? If they say, you know, they got your information off their website, then hopefully your content is doing a good job. Maybe they'll say, oh, I got your leaflet that you dropped through my door. Then you know that that leaflet has worked because it made the phone ring. So it's really important to just literally start with an Excel spreadsheet and a tally sheet of where people have heard about you and how they've come to you. Those are some really good measurement techniques. Is there anything anybody wanted to ask on that to measure your success? Okay. So,
Catherine, one thing I think might be worth just mentioning there is that, of course, having a measure is really, really important, but actually keeping that measure and comparing it, say, from month to month is really important, because you can actually see the trend, and you can actually see when you change something in your marketing that it either improves or otherwise the quality of your marketing. So the responses that you get, if you actually have a mechanism for measuring it month over month, and actually it will really be beneficial.
That's great advice. Thank you, Chris. Yeah. And literally that could be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet, and you just put the figures on month by month and have a look at the trends. Is it growing in the right direction, or is it going backwards? And if it's not, then you can shift your marketing activity to suit.
Sorry, Catherine. We've had a question from Ellie around whether there's a product out there which could actually help you identify who is clicking on your website. So if you can really drill down and find out exactly who's been on your website there.
There are a couple of companies, Alistair, that specialise in doing that. You can't do it off automated, but there is one based in Canterbury, A1 Web Stats,
yep,
where they track the IP address that comes in, look it up on a table, and then can provide you with the name of the business that has contacted you, not the individual person, but the business. And there's a couple of national franchise type operations that do it as well, but the local one is A1 Web Stats.
That's excellent, Phil, who I believe is a chamber member. Well, certainly comes to networking. So that's excellent.
Andy at A1 Web Stats.
Andy, perfect. Yes,
it is Andy at A1 Web Stats. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, so we've got some measurement techniques that we're going to use to establish whether our marketing activity is working. And the next step on is to think about what investment you're going to make. So if you really need to put a budget together to think about how you're going to pay for any of the activity. Now, we're not going to be able to go through this now, but obviously there are some activities that you might need to spend a little bit of money on to make work. If you can't revamp your website and redesign it, you might need to think about getting someone in to give you a hand with that. Again, if you want to think about your search engine optimization, you might want to invest a certain amount each month to try and get your rankings to improve. And again, for something like pay-per-click or leaflets or brochures, all of these things can be costed out before you make a decision that that's the direction you're going to go in. And then once you've got those costs established, you can see what sales did it generate and did you get a decent return on your investment. So that's how you build a marketing plan. We've gone through the 10 steps, which I hope will give you some guidance for you to build your marketing plan. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Alistair, who's going to sum things up for us. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed, Catherine. We promised you a lot of information, and that's really what we've had. So there's a lot of things we've covered. going through the chat that's come through, I think the key areas that you'd like to know about is how to get past the receptionist, how to build up that value concept so you can build value into your offering, how to get the message out there, where do you start, and that initial contact. When you've identified a prospect, how do you then make that initial contact? And the age-old issue for all business owners, they wear too many hats. Where do you start? How do you allocate the time to properly put time into your marketing process? And in addition to that, someone's requested sort of a breakdown of some of the client profiles for B2B prospects as well. So what we'll do, we'll get back to where you've got a specific inquiry, but some of those other requests we hope have been addressed with the presentation that we've gone through today, just in terms of making sure that you are identifying what makes you good, how you can stand out, and educating your prospects in how to value you, and also more importantly where to find you as well. So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've helped you identify what makes you good, how your prospects can find you, and also how we can start to put a plan together. So what are the factors that may stop you? Well, it may be, some of these could be reasons why you booked on the webinar today in the first place. But just as you employ your accountant to help give you a steer on your finances, and an HR professional to help you look through your contracts and policies, so we would recommend you speak to an external expert about your marketing. Use them as a sounding board. Now, I know there's lots of help available through the Chamber directly, and also through the membership, as well as the fantastic Kent Medway Growth Hub. So there's lots of help available. Now, talking of the Kent Medway Growth Hub and the Chamber, we'd like to say a big thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. We do try and partner up with Chamber members as much as we possibly can, and the partners that we do work with that are not quite members yet, we're certainly working on. We'd like to say a big thank you to Molly for all the help that she's given us today, and I'm sure Molly will be circulating contact details today. But if you would like to give us a call to organise a one-to-one or one of our full free marketing reviews, then we'd be very happy to take that. And lastly, once again, thank you very much for investing your time with us today. We hope that you'll be able to take some of the points and go market, sell, and get exactly what you want from your business. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Molly.
Thank you. Thanks very much.